Welcome, everybody, to another action-packed episode of Work in Progress. I'm your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, is my judge of the Intercontinental Playboy. Folks, he's more over than putting up 5 on the best team in Portugal. At Gyros, not Glenn Abbott. Glenn?
26 unbeaten. We put 5 past. It's the best I've seen up in Europe.
I guess, it's the first time we actually in Europe in quite some time. I mean, on the road anyway. So that was nice. And I didn't know this. So the guy who's coaching United now is the guy who used to coach Sporting. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he just sort of walked out on them.
Head toward the dumpster fire that is.
Yeah. Shows you what sort of money United waved it under his nose.
Oh yeah, I mean, being the biggest club in Portugal probably doesn't do anything compared to being the biggest club in England. You know what I mean? Not saying that Manchester United is the biggest club in England, but I mean they're pretty close, right? I mean, as far as like brand recognizability and like worldwide like recognizability, it's got to be Man United, right?
That's right. Yeah. Worldwide appeal, as they say.
Yeah, so and I do think eventually that new manager might be able to help United turn things around, but it's certainly not going to be an overnight thing because it never is. You know what I mean?
Showed that this weekend, didn't it? Last weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the team was still, they did the exact same shit they did the week before, except for the exact same thing, yeah.
Just a different manager.
Just a different manager. Well, this week is the week where we do our random monthly pay-per-view choice, and this month, Glenn got to pick, and he picked one we haven't, or from a promotion we haven't looked at yet, which is NXT UK. We did NXT UK Takeover Cardiff. You want to tell us why you picked this one, Glenn?
2 reasons. One is I got fed up with you keep on saying how much you missed NXT UK. And 2, I don't remember much about the show, or I didn't remember much about the show because all my interest really was in the triple threat tag match, the NXT tag title. And when we get to that match, I'll explain why.
Yeah, definitely. I think I messaged you a couple of days before you said that you were going to pick this show and told you that I missed NXT UK because it used to be our favorite wrestling show, weekly wrestling show. We used to say that it was the best weekly wrestling show and that they didn't do anything eye-rollingly silly. And that's exactly what this pay-per-view was. It was no nonsense, nothing eye-rollingly silly. Every single match was either great to good. And I'd never seen this show up until we watched it for this, and I definitely was not disappointed. It was very, very good. So it took place in Cardiff, Wales, at the Motor Point Arena in Cardiff. The Motor Point Arena opened on 9th of September by singer Shirley Bassey. Have you heard of this person? Basley, maybe? Heard of this person, Glenn?
Shirley Bassey.
Yes, that's right. Bassey, Bassey.
Yeah, she's the diva of all divas. Yeah, she's sang Goldfinger. Goldfinger. She's one of the original divas.
Oh,
I'm surprised you never
got
heard
me there, buddy. No, you got me there, buddy. It is the largest purpose-built exhibition facility in Cardiff. It's held many concerts over the years, and since 2007, this arena has been one of Premier League darts premier venues, including the semifinals and the finals of 2008. And besides this show, it hosted episodes of AEW Dynamite and Collision of August of this year, and this was the second NXT UK Takeover and the second to last NXT UK Takeover, as there's only 3 in the 5-year span of the history of the company. Yeah, I mean, what did you think of the quality with the opening video package? I thought it was really well done, as it always is done by WWE.
Certainly, yeah, it's WWE. You can't fault their video packages to start, can you?
Yeah, I think what we always say is that there's they do a lot wrong, but video package is never one of them. Yeah,
that's it.
And no nonsense. We get straight into the first match. It's the Scottish Supernova, Noam Dar, and he's going to be taking on Travis Banks. Always good to see Noam Dar, the greatest NXT UK Heritage Cup champion of all time.
Didn't he look really young without the face fungus?
He did. He looked, very baby-faced in this, for sure.
Yes, he was.
Definitely.
Except for the fact that he wasn't the baby face in it.
No, he was well, in our eyes, he's always the baby face, but in this match, when the fans' eyes, he was supposed to be the heel, which he normally is. I don't ever think I've seen him on TV as a baby face, and I don't think that would work for me. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think
he's
he ever will.
Natural heel, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a bit like MJF, that even if they're trying to be sort of face-ish, they can never quite manage it because they always have to put something snide in there.
Right. Yeah. That's a pretty good analogy, I think. This is a pretty good fast-paced match. Definitely a hell of a way to start the show. What did you think about this one?
Excellent start. It was everything I'd expect it to be from these two, really. The thing with all of these matches, and as you say, they progressively get better as they go into them, is that none of these are typical work in progress matches. They'd all be under the category, or they're far too good for us.
Yeah, that's why we review this and don't watch it, because we wouldn't be able to do anything with watching a match like this. I mean, if you've never seen Noam Dar wrestle a wrestling match, I mean, he's such a master class of submissions and transitions. This is just all around a good wrestling match. It really had everything that you want in a wrestling match. I mean, it had mat wrestling, it had high flying stuff, it had mat work. It really did. It was from top to bottom. It was a really solid wrestling match for sure. And if you're going to start a wrestling show, this is probably a good way to do it.
Especially seeing as this was, if I remember rightly, it was a sort of added on at the last minute because of things happened and somebody wasn't available or something. So they put this on just to make up the numbers, really. And the guys did a good job of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, like I said, perfect match to kick off a premium live event, or a pay-per-view, as they would have called them back then. Banks hits a double stomp from the top rope, but Dar kicks out. Dar ends up getting the win after catching Banks with a knee with a knee when he's on the middle rope, and then he hits the Nova Roller for the pin and the win. But all in all, a very solid match to start the show.
That's right.
We see Cesaro in the back, and apparently he has issued an open challenge, and then we find out the person who has answered his 5-star challenge is who, Glenn?
It is the debuting, I believe, well, certainly on pay-per-view, Ilja Dragunov. Not a lot of people had seen him at this point, and that's why they went into explaining who he was a lot at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously know who Ilja Dragunov is now, and as soon as because I started playing his music, and I wasn't sure whose music that was, because that's not the music I'm used to hearing, you know. And then he comes out to the ring, and I'm like, oh my God, we're getting Cesaro versus Ilja. This is going to be a banger, and it did not disappoint.
It certainly did. It was hard hitting. Cesaro swinging Ilja around, Ilja doing all the sort of Ilja things that he does to Cesaro. My only grumble about this is that Why didn't they keep Cesaro in NXT UK for longer? He would have been a perfect fit rather than waste him back up in America.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I do think that there was a lot of UK based or Europe based guys that they didn't use a lot on the main roster or even NXT, that it would have made a lot of sense for them just to send them over to NXT UK for an extended period of time. Doing that would have helped, I think, launch that brand a little bit better on this side of the pond, in the United States, because a lot of people look at that and in the States, and because we don't know anybody who was on the TV there, we don't want to watch that because we don't know anybody who it is, because that's just how people's brains work. I mean, that's how mine worked. I never watched NXT UK until I started listening to you guys talk about on Piece of Business. So I do think that would have been a smart move on their part to have guys like maybe Cesaro or Sheamus, guys like that, go over to NXT UK to try to elevate that brand. So I do think that would have been very helpful.
And instead, the one that they put in there for a amount of time that was supposed to be dragging the American audience in was Cassius Ohno. And all that did is everybody went, oh no.
Well, and that might work for like a hardcore indie based wrestling fan base to maybe try to get them to try to watch it, but that wasn't going to work on a hardcore WWE fan base, because I'm not taking anything away from Chris Hero. Chris Hero is a tremendous human being, a tremendous wrestler, all above board for Chris Hero. He's just like mainstream WWE wrestling fans don't know who that is. You know what I mean? They just don't.
No, that's right.
So yeah, that's
one
of my favorite.
Sorry, what
were you going to say?
I was going to say is I've met Chris a couple of times and I've got nothing but nice things to say about him.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to many people who've had interactions with Chris, and I've never heard one person say a bad word about him. My buddy Mark Wolf was his ring name. He wrestled in IWA Mid-South for a while. Mark Wolf, if you've heard of him, and he's very good friends with Chris Hero, and he always talks about what a great guy Chris is. The only thing I will say bad about Chris Hero is that he's a fan of the Duke Blue Devils, which is the only thing bad I'll say about him.
I can't even comment on that. I don't know.
They are the rival of my favorite college basketball team, the North Carolina Tar Heels. That's why I say that.
I gathered that, but that's why I said I can't comment on American sports like that.
Yeah. One of my favorite things in this match was at the very beginning of Ilja puts his hand in Cesaro's face, and Cesaro moves his arm out of the way and uppercuts him, which is exactly how you should respond to someone sticking their hand in your face.
Yeah, that's right.
I just thought everything about this match was everything that I said about the last match can be said about this match, but better. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, and Ilja, much to his credit, considering that he'd not long come in from Germany, brought it in by water, I think, and he made Cesaro. He stayed with Cesaro the whole way through this, and made Cesaro look 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Cesaro.
It's not easy to do with somebody that's basically fresh from the Indies to come in and wrestle a top-notch WWE superstar the way that Ilja did there.
Yeah, because it's really kind of like two different worlds the way they're going to wrestle, especially in Germany. You know what I mean? And I know Cesaro's from Switzerland or whatever, but he's been in the United States for quite some time up until this point. And you can't say that wrestling for WWE for a certain amount of time isn't going to change your ring style, because it's just going to, because they're not going to allow the same sort of things to go on a WWE ring match in and match out that you're going to have on the Indies. It's just not going to happen.
No.
But yeah, Cesaro did one of the longest spins he's ever done. He got all the way up to the floor, which I don't know how he does that and doesn't just keel over with dizziness, because I know I would.
Yeah, I would as well. I think he was staggering a bit when he came out of it.
Yeah, it kind of took him a second he kind of like got to one knee after he after he did try to like recollect himself. But he did a lot faster than I would have. I would have been stumbling around like a drunk for 10 minutes if I did that. Cesaro picks Ilja up over his head. Gorilla presses him, drives him across his knee. Ilja kicks out. He immediately does a running forearm to the face, but Ilja barely gets his shoulder up. And like the timing on that was so perfect because literally the referee was like an inch from the ground to the mat for 3 when Ilja got his shoulder up. Perfect timing.
And obviously the right man won in the end.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cesaro's going to be the winner of this one up against the new up-and-coming guy or the new incoming guy or whatever, however you want to say it, you know.
Ilja won in the long because he'd been NXTUK champion, doing all sorts of great things in NXT at the moment. And Cesaro's wallowing away in AEW.
Yeah, Cesaro does eventually get the win when he hits no, I'm sorry. Ilja makes a comeback. He almost wins with a top rope senton, but Cesaro kicks out. Ilja goes for his finisher, but Cesaro catches him, tosses him in the air, lands a huge uppercut, hits the neutralizer for the 3 count and the win. Ilja would then go on to have banger after banger after banger in NXT UK, and then do the same in NXT. After the match, Cesaro looks like he's going to leave the ring, and then it looks like he's going to go in and attack Ilja afterwards, but he stops short and shakes his hand. So, which I think Cesaro was a heel on WWE TV at this point. So,
yeah,
you could have totally saw him, attacking him, which wouldn't have been a surprise,
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, hell of a debut and definitely a great second match of the show. And then we're gonna go into the one that Glenn's really excited to talk about.
Yeah. The Grizzled Young Veterans defending their tag team title against Gallus and my boys, Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, who later, I can't even think what they call themselves now.
Subculture.
Subculture, yeah. It became Subculture, but they were just Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster at this time. This is Flash been back for about 6 months or so when he got signed to NXT UK after being out for a year. During that year, he had so many different injuries after a match with Zack Sabre Jr. That he had to take an extended time off, and he did his Flash Morgan's Wrestling Friends podcast,
which was an amazing show.
Yeah, which I sort of got involved with. We became friends, so I had a vested interest in this. Although I was watching it from home, I wasn't able to get to Wales for it, but I was cheering them on the whole way. And boy, was I not disappointed.
No, definitely not for this one. I mean, this match was incredible. I mean, you both aren't usually huge on triple threat matches, but this one was really well done.
It was.
Music to my ears, Glenn, to hear the fans singing "Shoes Off If You Hate Gibson." That was absolute music to my ears.
Yeah, that was it. And it was that thing of, it was the perfect storm. Because they had the Welsh homeboys, the nasty Scousers, and of course Gallus that everybody hates.
yeah. That was another thing that I think was a nice touch, was to make sure that it was 2 heel teams against the 1 babyface team, because that way they weren't able to take any of the fans. They weren't going to take the fans' jeer from Morgan and Andrews anyway, but just to make sure that they didn't stick another babyface team in there, which I thought was a nice touch.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody hates Zach Gibson, and nobody gave a shit about Gallus.
Exactly. Gallus were always just seems like that they were just the guys that were there to, start shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what they were there for.
Let's face it, they're still doing that in NXT now.
You know what? That's a very good point, Glenn. I don't watch NXT that much, but I turned it on last week because it's actually on the CW, which is the channel I get. And so I turned it on, and yep, Gallus was there starting shit. You're right.
And these guys, they showcased all six of them to their best.
Yeah, I mean, all around, just a great match. I mean, watching this made me think of how good the Grizzled Young Veterans were when they moved them over to regular NXT in 2020. And I never understood why they never pulled the trigger on giving the Grizzled Young Veterans the NXT Tag Team Championships because, like, first of all, Zach Gibson is like a magnet for heat, and he's so good at getting heat on the microphone, and they're so good in the ring that there were so many times where I thought, oh, this is where the Grizzled Young Veterans are finally going to get their moment and get their time in NXT, and it just never came around until they finally made them into a joke called the Schism, and they just said, fuck this, I went to TNA.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm sure with those two, they only did that for the payday.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
I think if they could have guaranteed that they'd get the same sort of money that they're earning in the States over here, they would have just come back. Because they were so disillusioned with WWE at that time.
Then, like, they never had a run as the tag team Grizzled Young Veterans on the independent scene over there, did they? They weren't even a tag team. That was all done in NXT UK, wasn't it?
No.
Okay.
I'm sure that Zach Gibson was part of a faction in Progress when I used to go regularly. I'm not sure. I think the Grizzled Young Vets had one run as Progress Tag Team Champions.
That could very well be. That could very. I mean, I'm not obviously as known to British wrestling as you. That's why that was more of a question than a statement. I didn't know if they had a run on the. But yeah, like I said, the Grizzled Young Veterans are one of my favorite tag teams ever because they're just so good in the ring. And then I love Zach Gibson. I love to hate Zach Gibson like you're supposed to do, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
That's one thing I love about British wrestling fans is you guys, even if you do like the heels, you're going to boo them out of respect. And American fans, we're going to cheer them just because we cheer the people that we like, and it doesn't matter if they're heels or baby faces. But I respect your guys' commitment to the sport.
I've had this conversation. Well, it was a three-way conversation between myself, a young trainee, and an experienced heel. And the young trainee was going, "Oh, yeah, you should cheer me." The other guy went, "No, I'm doing a job. I want a certain reaction from you. I don't want you cheering me. I want you booing. That's the reaction I want." And it should
I also
me
think
a bit.
I also think that goes to the talent nowadays too, because people want to be cool heels and they don't want to be, they don't want to be jerk heels. Like they want to be the heel on TV, but they also want to sell their T-shirts. You know what I mean? So nobody wants to go that far over the line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or do their stuff on social media as well.
Yeah. This match hard hitting from start to finish.
Yeah. I like the way it sounded strange with Nigel McGuinness calling it sports entertainment, where none of these guys are sports entertainers. They were all wrestlers.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, this had
Flash and Mark. Their background was in backyard wrestling in Wales. That's how they met. So there was no sports entertainment in it. It was backyard wrestling. And that's why you could see it in some of the moves that they do. Back in the day, Flash would have jumped off a shed onto a trampoline. It was off the top rope into the crowd on the floor.
I mean, this match, hard-hitting, high-flying moves. I mean, we're going to sound like a broken record when we talk about this show because this match, like every other match so far, had everything you'd want in a wrestling match, everything you'd want in a tag team match. I mean, it was...
The pop when after... I love the way that Gallus got taken out. So for the finish, it just became a 2-on-2 tag match.
Yeah.
Where all four of them are facing each other and started punching and everything else. It was just good, solid, old-fashioned wrestling. Then when I can't remember what Andrews did, but Andrews did something, and then Flash comes off the top and gets the pin, and the roof came off the building.
I mean, yeah, the people were really hanging on every single move that Flash and Mark Andrews were doing. Lots of close 2 counts. Like Glenn said, it basically comes down to the Grizzled Young Veterans and Flash and Andrews at the end. They hit their finisher on Webster, but then Drake dove out of the ring to take out Gallus, looks like, and then Gibson went for the pin, and then there was Andrews that came off the top with the 450 splash.
That's it, yeah.
He pulled Flash over Gibson for the 3 count. And yes, the crowd went absolutely, like, apoplectic would be the word. Great match, great moment. Just all around really, really good shit here, pal.
Yeah, well, I was doing laps of my living room, like Arsenal had scored the winner in the cup final. I was so pleased for Flash. Nearly called him his real
those
name.
Those people popped like Wells had won the Euros.
Yeah, they did.
So yeah, I mean, a really great match. We then go into what I'm going to call a good old-fashioned hoss fight. It's Dave Mastiff taking on the other member of Gallus that wasn't in the tag team match, Joe Coffey, and this is just 2 guys beating the crap out of each other, isn't it, Glenn?
I was going to say, after all the high flying, the technical stuff from the last match, this was the palate cleanser, where it was just 2 meaty men slapping meat.
The palate cleanser is the best way to describe this match. Absolutely. I mean, within minutes, Glenn, they had destroyed the ring.
Yeah. I don't even know how that happened. It just bang and down came the ropes, and I know that Joe Coffey still tried to use the rope to bounce off.
And he just fell off or fell hard on his back. Yeah, that was really funny. I think that goes to show you that unless they're really good at impromptu shit, like that wasn't planned. Because if it was planned, he wouldn't have planned to fucking try to do a spring off the second rope when there is no top rope.
No, that's right. That definitely wasn't planned. I don't think.
And then it made it where they basically had to probably redo what they were going to do because they had to basically fight outside the ring for most of it, so they could get the ring fixed for the last 2 matches.
They had to take. It's last man standing. You expect them to take it into the audience, but they had to anyway, just to get away from the ring.
Yeah, because I mean, most of this was done in the fans over by the announce table, because like the announce table isn't like you see on Raw or SmackDown when it's right next to the ring. It was kind of like up into the crowd a little bit, so they fought their way over there. Joe tries to do, Joe pulls he gets a pool cue from under the ring, and then he pulls out a thing full of weapons. There were some pool balls in there, more pool cues, and even a cricket bat was in there.
Yeah, that cricket bat, that must have hurt.
That's the last thing I want to get hit with is a cricket bat.
Yeah, they are quite heavy.
Fucking sure looks like it. Shit.
Yeah. And even if they'd gimmicked it and hollowed it out a bit, it was still gonna slap.
Well, you can see it when he hits. I think he hits Joe Coffey in the back. You can see the fucking welts forming on his back almost immediately. So
that's right.
And then he like dumps this bag of goodies out, and there's pool balls rolling on the ground. And then he runs at Mastiff, and Mastiff fucking backdrops him on a pool ball, and you can totally see that did not feel good. By the way, Joe Coffey popped back up the way he was selling the back. That had to hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. Being somebody that watched NXT UK at this time and was reviewing it, my biggest takeaway from this was Joe Coffey had always been the nearly man. He had lost to Pete Dunne in NXT Blackpool earlier on in the year, and he just never ever seemed to get the breaks at the right time. So giving him the win here was a really good move as far as I'm concerned. So he certainly didn't do old Bomber any harm at all.
Yeah, and the way it ended, it was like Joe Kofi got lucky because they're counting like 8-9, and they're both about to get to their feet, and like Massive's about to pull himself up on like a roll cart, but Joe kicks it out from under him, and so he can't get to his feet, and he's counted to 10. So it basically made it look like, so it couldn't have hurt Dave Mastiff at all, because it was basically like Joe got lucky.
That's right. And it certainly didn't do Joe any harm.
Yeah, no, one of my favorite spots in this whole match is when they both pick up a chair, hold it in their midsections, and then run as fast as they can at each other.
Jesus, they were using them like shields. And that's going to hurt your own heart. That's going to hurt your own arm doing that.
Yeah, it's going to hurt your own fucking rib cage as opposed to somebody else's. I'm surprised the world didn't explode when that happened, you know?
Yeah, I know. I suppose I'm hoping that the world wasn't going to explode because they'd only just put the ring back together again.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so definitely a meaty men slapping meat, good old fashioned hoss fight in that one, and a nice change of pace from the tag team match for sure. And then we go into the women's championship match with the champion Toni Storm defending against Kaylee Ray. Really love the video package before this because, like I said, I wasn't watching the show, so I didn't know like the story behind all this. But they did a really good job in the video package, where even if you hadn't seen a lick of NXT UK TV, you would have understood the story because they told it all in this video package. So they did a really good job on that. I will say that this is probably my least favorite match on this show, but that's not taking anything away from the match because it was still very good. It just was, I don't know. The crowd felt a little flat in this one. I think just because so much had already been taken out of them that this was kind of their cool down match, if you know what I mean.
They just seem to lack a little bit of chemistry, which is strange considering how good of friends they were.
Right.
And they were. My other big takeaway from this, and it probably is my only little gripe of this whole show, is that there were too many near falls in this. You do one or two at the beginning and one or two at the end of close pins, or just one counts at the beginning and then a couple of close pins towards the end. But they were doing it nearly every 2 minutes, it seemed.
Yeah, I get what you mean there. I did feel like they were working pretty snug with each other. I mean, this thing felt like a grudge match for sure, but like you said, when you put it next to everything else that you watch on the show, it does feel a bit flat, you know?
It does. Unlike what comes... and yeah, if anybody's keeping track, Kaylee Ray becomes the new NXT Women's Champion. And as we know, Toni Storm trots off to America.
Yeah. I believe she's going to be going stateside very shortly after this because I remember her showing up on NXT TV. Because I think she's in the women's War Games match.
She was
in 2019, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like to me, I don't know if it was just because of like you said, like they weren't getting good reactions because there was too many near falls. But when Kaylee Ray got the win here, the crowd seemed almost shocked, or I don't know, because there was like really no reaction at all. It was like I don't know if the people were shocked or if they were just I don't know.
I think it was partly shock that because at that time they weren't telling any story that would indicate that Toni Storm was going to lose. And certainly not to Kaylee Ray. But after that, Kaylee Ray, until Meiko Satomura came along, became a really dominant champion. So whoever wrote what they did with Kaylee after it did a really good job.
And like NXT UK always did the good thing of like when someone was a champion, they were usually a champion for an extended period of time. It wasn't 6-week champion or 2-month champion or 8-week champion or whatever. And so maybe that's why maybe the people were just shocked because they figured Toni Storm was going to be a long-term champion too. Which I guess I don't know how long she had been champion at this point, so maybe she had been champion for a year, but
not long, I don't think.
Yeah, because Ripley was the first one, right? Or was it Toni Storm?
Yeah. No, Rhea Ripley was the first one. And then Toni Storm took it off of Rhea Ripley, so it'd only been a few months.
Okay, yeah. So maybe that's what was the reaction from the crowd. But yeah, like I said, I mean, not my favorite match on the show, but also not a horrible match. It just a little flat is all.
Yeah. No, it's worth watching. There's not one of these matches I would say skip, but it's the least favourite of the lot.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And then we go to the main event, which is for the NXT UK Championship. It is the artist not known as Gunther then. He's now known, he was Walter then, and he is facing the inaugural NXT UK champion, Tyler Bate, with the title on the line. What did you think about this match? Got 42 minutes.
This was amazing. These two beat the shit out of one another. Yeah. The crowd firmly on Tyler Bates' side. So many chants of Big Strong Boy, and did the Big Strong Boy do his stuff? He certainly did. Over here, we're getting on daytime TV on one of the channels. We are getting what's your version of Robot Wars called?
Robot Wars?
BattleBots.
BattleBots, I think is what we call it.
Yeah. They're showing them. And I watched one of them today, and it was like watching Walter and Tyler, but we're humans instead of robots.
Well, that had been a hell of a robot battle then.
Oh, it was. There were bits of robot flying all over the place. And if it wasn't for the fact that there was muscle, sinew, and skin holding those two together, there would have been bits of them flying all over the place as well.
Yeah, I guarantee you Tyler Bate wakes up in the morning in 2024 and still feels fucking shots that he took from Gunther in 2019. Because, man.
His chest. I've only seen Ilja with a redder chest after facing Walter. I don't know. You can't even describe it. It was stiff juggernauts. Tyler Bate looking like he had no right to even be in the ring with the extra weight, shall I say, of Walter.
Yeah.
Before he became lean and trim Gunther. And he gave every bit as good as he got. And credit to Walter as well for selling some of. Well, I don't think he had any choice in selling some of the stuff that Bate lashed him with.
Yeah, no, it's gonna hurt no matter what you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I really appreciated in this match was all the ways that the fans in Cardiff were able to chant Walter as a wanker. They did it in like 4 or 5 different ways, and I really appreciated that. I thought it was a nice touch. It was really, really good. Tip of the hat to you UK wrestling fans, because you guys know how to do it.
Oh God, yeah, they do.
Absolutely, they do. I mean, Walter did a power bomb on the apron to Bate. He beat the shit out of him for a while. Bate does a lot of comebacks. He hit like a fucking exploder suplex on Walter on the apron. He did a super exploder suplex on Walter, which only got a 2 count. He hit a Birmingham hammer on Walter. He even tried to break some of Walter's fingers, a la Pete Dunne. But he throws everything in the kitchen sink at Walter, and he just cannot keep Walter down. And the best way I could describe this match is it was amazing. Amazing is the word, Glenn. You said it, and I can't put it any better than that. It was fucking amazing.
The only thing I will say, and it's a very, 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 very tiny little nit, Walter winning with a clothesline. It seemed like they'd gone that far, and then all of a sudden the ref had gone, we need to wrap this up, lads. Hits him with a clothesline, pins him, and that's it.
Yeah, it was kind of strange to see it end with the clothesline after. I would have liked to have seen it end with Walter having him in like that, because Walter had him in the sleeper or whatever, tried to put him to sleep. I would have liked to seen it end like that with Tyler going to sleep or Tyler passing out in a submission hold. That would have been the best way, I think, to end the match. But I'm certainly not going to complain because it was so good. It was great.
It was so good.
Yeah, I mean, everything. This show, I could took 3 or 4 pages of notes for this match if I wanted to, because it was just that good, and it was 42 minutes long, but it didn't feel like 42 minutes long. And this entire show, I would probably go out on a limb and say that this is the best show that we've reviewed thus far in any of the shows we've reviewed, because it was just, I don't think we've watched any show where we liked every single match as much as we did on this card. So, 2 thumbs up for this. 4 thumbs if I could.
Yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up. And there was it's strange that I think part of the reason that you didn't get the hype for this as much in the States as it was over here is this was on the same day as AEW's All Out. First All Out happened. Obviously, it's different time of day because this was live over here. So you would have had this during the day. You would have had all AEW on in the evening.
Yeah, but hey, a good day for wrestling fans, huh?
Certainly was, yeah.
Very interesting. I did not know that. It's crazy that AEW's been around for that long, because it does feel like just yesterday when it popped up. So it's kind of crazy to think it's been that long.
I think it's a case of because it takes 2 steps forward and then 1 back.
That could be. But we're not going to break down the shortcomings of AEW on this show.
AEW, no, that's certainly not.
And most of the reason why I'm not going to do that is because I don't watch AEW, and I haven't watched it in a long time, and I don't like to try to break down things that I don't watch because that makes me feel like I'm an asshole. So
I'm just going by people that I do know have watched it or are watching it and seem to have gone off it a bit.
Glenn more has his finger on the pulse of the wrestling media, of the wrestling pulse than I do, because I'm not on social media anymore. So you'll know better than I do.
So about this, haven't we really now?
What'd you say?
I said I give it 2 thumbs up, and I think that's about all we need to say about it now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any more words left to say about NXT UK Takeover Cardiff. But I will say, if you've never seen it, go back and watch it, even if you don't know any of the people on the show, even though you will know people on the show, because I don't know if you know this, but Walter is Gunther. He's a little chubbier. But go back and watch this if you've never watched it. It's great. You'll be thanking us when you do watch it, and you'll know that we're just not flapping our gums and we're not full of shit. And this was a really great show. So go check it out. And also, check out all these people that Glenn's going to plug for us right here, right now. Glenn, give us the plugs.
I'm booking the territory with Rob and Dan, doing the first and last of wrestling. Their side projects and stacking the territory with his next Big Daddy on the road to Wembley 1981, and the most watched wrestling match of all time. Also, the Gator Golf, being the Elite Gator Golf, they're doing their new series of that at the moment, and checking their archives for unbooking the Tankatory, the life and times of one Tank Abbott. No relation.
You sure it's not a cousin?
No, definitely not. And of course,
it's the Doctor Who podcast with Danny Inside. That's on SJP World Media.
And DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc.
Make sure you give all those fine people and podcasts a listen and a follow. And give a follow to the other member of our podcast team, the Mayor of Canton on Twitter X. He is the Mayor of Canton, and he does a meal with the Mayor every Wednesday where he tries a different fast food item. So he'll know if it's good enough for you to try, or if you shouldn't try it, or if it'll just make you wish you had it because you don't have it in your area. But make sure you follow him. Check that out. It's every Wednesday. That's at Mayor of Canton. And make sure you check out Sports Wire Radio and give our buddy Thomas Bryce a follow on all social media platforms. Just search Thomas Bryce, BRICE. It's spelled just like it sounds. And check out that website. It's sportswireradio with a Z.org. hit that listen live button. You hear many great shows just like ours, covering all things from wrestling to football to baseball to backgammon. Backgammon's probably not on there. If you like backgammon, you're probably shit out of luck on that one. But anyway, check out SportsWire Radio. Give Thomas Bryce a follow. Check out all the stuff we got going on. Yeah. Check out all the stuff we got going on. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. Check out I Don't Know Shit, the Life and Times of Psycho Sid. We're getting into Sid going into WCW and the Man of the Millennium, which is what me and Glenn have really been waiting for. And of course, make sure you check out The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We just reviewed WrestleMania 14 last week. We will be on to the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 14, which is a pretty damn good show, even though I haven't watched it yet. But from what I remember as a child, it was a good show. So we'll be back on that horse next week. And stay tuned to find out which pay-per-view I will pick this month. I think I've already decided, but I'm not 100% sure. So I won't reveal it just yet. Be on the lookout for that announcement, which will be coming up. Yeah, we're not even in December yet, but we're pretty close. But that's it. That's all. We have nothing else to say. I've flapped my lips enough. There's nothing left for us to say. For Glenn to say goodbye.
Goodbye.